Hello friends, today we are discussing about the script in MATLAB, how the script is writing on MATLAB and how we can write a code for particular computation whatever we want from the MATLAB. First we need to know what is a script. A script file is an external file that contains a sequence of MATLAB statement. Okay, by typing the file name, subsequent MATLAB input is obtained from the file.script file have a file name extension of .m. That is, the whatever the file will be saved in a directory, the file will be saved with the name of the file.m. It will help us to recognize the whatever the which file is script file or not. Okay, the script shares the variable with workspace from where it was called, typically means MATLAB workspace. Okay, after it we will discuss about the for loop and while loop. These two loops are frequently used in any script. Whatever the code we are writing, these loops are frequently used. In the for loop, repeat statements a specific number of times. If we want that a particular number of statements repeat again and again, when we require some computation and we want that particular formula, particular mathematical operation is repeated again and again, we use the for loop. But in case of while loop, the repeat the execution of a group of statement in loop while the expression is true. The meaning is that whatever the condition we write in the while loop, until the statement or until the expression is right in the while loop, the statement in the while loop will be repeat itself unless the expression is true or not. Okay, we repeat it. In while loop, there is a condition which we gives in the while loop. The statement inside the while loop repeat itself until the expression is true. After the expression is false, the repetition is going to stop. And how this works, we will discuss in the MATLAB. Okay. We open the MATLAB online and we write a very simple program of how to plot a sine x in script with the help of script. Okay, we use the for loop for this. How the for loop can be used to plot any mathematical expression or mathematical equation. It may be quadratic equation and it may be any sine x or sinusoidal equation, whatever it is. Okay, so for the example purposes we use the sine x equation. Okay, so we see, and how we start, we go to the home and we click on the new script. When we click on the new script, a untitled file is open. A file is open which name is untitled. Okay, so first we need to save this file. When we save this file, we need to know or we need to conscious about that the file name should not start with the special character. What is the mean is, the file name should not start with the @ or special character like percentile, like and, like cross. These symbols or these letter should not be at the starting of any file name. Okay, and the file name, we save the file name with sine curve. Okay, sine curve dot m. When we save the file with the name, we can start writing on the script file. Generally, we start with the very common command which is named as clc and clear all. What does it do? Why we use these two commands in the starting of any script? When we run this command, when we run this file, it automatically cleans the command window with the use of clc, and it clears all the variables which are pre-defined in the workspace. Why we need this? If any variable is defined with the same variable is in that script file, it will create some problem. So we need to clean the workspace and we need to clean the command window to see the results. So in any script file, we first use the command clc and clear all. Okay, sometime or we can use a command close all. Why this? This command will close all figures and plots that are already open in the MATLAB. Okay, now we start our main code here. We can see this from here how this command is working. First we save this file and this is our command window. Here you can see in the command window there are already some text already written over here, and when we run this file there are some variable in the workspace and there is some content in the command window. These all will clear. Okay, when we run this, all the workspace is clear and all the command window is clear. Okay, so before execution any script file, there is necessary that all the workspace variable and all the content in the command window should be clear. Okay, but this is not necessary for all the time, but as per our need, we need to clear the command window and the workspace. Okay, now I'm going to write a program for plotting the sine curve. Okay, so first I need to define a variable n, and why I am defining this first, we will discuss it later. Okay, now I write n is equal to 1. There is some variable n which have a value 1. Now I define the independent variable x, n, but not here, not I write in the for loop. I write it here for. Now I write how much time I want to repeat the for loop. Okay, I define a variable I is equal to 0 colon 0.1 colon 100. I define a variable I which is an array, or we can say the value of I will begin with 0 and end with the 100 with a step size of 0.1. What is the meaning of it? First the value of I is equal to 0 and then 0.1, then 0.2, then 0.3, then 0.4, then 0.5 up to 100. The meaning is this, that this program will repeat itself 1001 times. Okay. After this, I define the independent variable x bracket n is equal to Okay, I define the independent variable yn is equal to sine x n. Okay, now I write n is equal to n plus 1. Now I will explain you why I use xn here. X is an array and n is represent the first element of this array, the nth element of this array. Xn represent the nth element of this array. Now, initially I define n is equal to 1. The meaning is this: when this loop will start, initially its value is x1, and the value of I at the starting is 0. The meaning is this: x1 is equal to 0 and y1 is equal to sine 0. Okay, now I increase the value of n by 1. The n is equal to now 2, and this loop will start again, and this time I will be the 0.1. Okay, now the x2, because n is now 2, x2 will be 0.1 and y2 is equal to sine 0.1, and this loop will repeat again and again 1001 times. Why? Because the value of I is starting at 0 and end at the 100. So this loop will be repeat again and again and again up to the 1001 time, and we get an array of x and y of 1001, 1, a array of elements 1001 of xn and yn of 1001 times. Okay, now after the ending of this loop, we want to display the value of y. Disp y. Okay, now I want to plot the value of x and y. Plot x comma y. Okay, this is my whole program. How this program is started? Initially, I clear the screen. After this, I clear the all variables in the workspace. After this, I close the all figures, whatever the open in the MATLAB window, and I initialize the variable n with the value of 1. After this, I initialize a for loop which repeats itself 1001 times with the help of I is equal to 0, colon 0.1, colon 100. Okay, and I initialize a variable x n is equal to I, which give me an array of 1001 element, and all elements will be started at 0 and end at the 100, and I get an array of yn is equal to sine xn. The meaning is this: y have a 1001 element and all the elements are the sine of xn, and I repeat it 1001 times, which give me an array of 1001 elements. Okay, and after this I display the value of y and plot the value of y with respect to x. Okay, now I save this file and execute it. Now you can see we get the value of y and we get the plot of y with respect to x, which give me a sinusoidal graph between y and x. Okay, and in command window you can see all the value of y with respect to x, and in workspace you find the value of I is the ending value is 100 and value of n is 1002, because after 1001 repetition the value of n becomes 1002 and value of x will be starting at 0 and end at the 100, which give me an array of element of 1001 elements. Same, I get the array of y which have 1001 elements, and the value of y's elements are the sine of all the x. Okay, if I double click on the y, I get all the values of y. You can see here. These all values are already written in the command window. But if I double click on the x, I get the value from 0 to 100 with a step size of 0.1. Okay. You can see already here. All the values of x are starting from 0 and at the 0.1 and at the 100. Okay, there's a 1001 elements. All are 1001 elements in the x and starting at 0 and stop at the 100. Okay, so this is a very simple program how to plot sine x in MATLAB. Now we go to some typical problem. If I want to write a program to find a factorial of any number, how can we do this on the MATLAB? Okay, we go to our presentation and we first discuss the algorithm, how we can find and how we can write a code for finding the factorial of any number. Okay, there is the algorithm, or we can say the float chart of finding a factorial of any number. We start here. If I want to find a factorial of any number, I need to enter the value of that variable. So First I need that the program asks me for the value. For what value you want to get a factorial. So there should become a statement that enter the value. So the starting should be after the start. The first it should say me what is the value. Enter the value which you want to find the factorial. And in the code, I initially define a variable fact value which have a value 1. Okay. After it, whatever the value I enter in the program, I first check this whether this value is 0 or not. So I use a conditional statement here. Okay. If the value of n is 0, we know already that the factorial of 0 is equal to 1. If the condition is true, that there should be a output coming in the command window is the factorial of 0 is equal to 1. And if the condition is not true, either the value of n is greater than 1 or less than 1. So again I need to check a condition that if the value of n is greater than 0 and value is integer, how I can check whether the value is integer or not? There is a command mod n comma 1 is equal 0. This give me that whether the value is integer or not. If the entering value is not integer, I will not get mod n comma 1 equal 0. Okay. If this condition is true, that the entering value is greater than 0 and an integer. If this condition is true, I will go forward, and if this condition is not true, there should be a output in command window is that input number is invalid, because we cannot find the factorial of any fractional value. So, and we cannot find the factorial of any negative integer. So, we need to check first whether this value is greater than 0 and a integer. If this condition is true, we go to the for loop, and that for loop will repeat itself n times. Why? For finding the factorial of any number, I need to multiply n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus 3 up to 1. So I need to repeat the for loop to multiply the all numbers n times. So after this, I give a statement fact value is equal to fact value into I. Okay. Initially the value of I is equal to 1, and I know I initially defined the fact value is 1. There is a 1 cross 1. And after this, when the loop is repeat itself, the value of I become 2. And again I go to the fact value. Now the new fact value is the 2 into 1. This is 2. I again repeat this loop. Now this time I is equal to 3. And fact value will be the 3 into 2 into 1, that is 6. And this repeat itself n time. And I will get the multiplication of 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5 into 6 up to n, which give me the factorial of any number. And after the completion of this for loop, I want that this give me the output in command window that factorial of input is equal to the multiplied value. I hope you will understand how this flow chart is working. And I hope that you already understand how we write a code step by step. Now we go to the MATLAB and we try to write a program for finding the factorial of any number. Okay. Now we start a new script which is Untitled 2. So first I need to save this file with fact. Okay, and okay. Now I need first that program ask me for the value, that what value I want to find a factorial. So I define a variable n which store the input value. So n is equal to input and enter the value. Okay, and whatever the value I define, that will go to the n. Okay, after this I define the value of fact value initially 1. After this I need to check whether this number is 0 or not. So I use the if else command. If capital N equal 0, then if n equal 0, there should be a display in the command window that display. This is the command for display any variable in the command window. I use the command disp. Disp the factorial of 0 is equal to 1. Okay. After this, else if this number is not 0, else if value either greater than 0 or less than 0, or positive integer or negative integer. So first I want that the value should be either greater than 0 and should be greater than 0, and in parallel it should be a integer. So mod n comma 1 should be equal 0. If this command is true, then I start a for loop. If this command is true, I start a for loop which is starting at I is equal to 1 to capital N, and fact value, now fact value is equal to old fact value into I, which we already discussed in the flow chart, and this is sufficient for this. Now I want to display the factorial of n is factor of input value is num2 star fact value. Okay. After this, else if the value is not greater than 0 or nor a integer, there should be a output in the command window disp input value is invalid. Okay, is everything true? Is everything fine? Now after saving the file, now we execute this file by writing the file name in command window and enter. Now he asks for the enter the value. Now this time we enter the value 10 and he shows an error in the line 9. In the line 9 he shows the error in the command disp factorial of input num to star fact value. We forget to write bracket here and here. Now, and we need to add command CLC and clear all in the starting. Okay, now we save this file again and execute it by writing the file name in the command window. Now we write 10 as an input again, and this time he gives the factorial of input is 3628800, which is a factorial of 10. Okay, now we test this program for the three conditions. The first condition is for input is 0. Okay, for FACT we run this command by the file name and we enter the value 0. Okay, the factorial of 0 is 1, which is correct. Now we check the program for the value of input for greater than 0 and a positive integer. Okay, now we enter the value now we enter the value 0.3, a fractional value. Now this time the input value is invalid. Okay, this is again correct. So we can say the program is working good as we need. He first check the value of input, either it is equal to 0 or greater than 0 or an integer. Okay, so with this exercise we learn how to write a script in MATLAB, and in the next video we'll learn how to write a function in MATLAB. Thank you for watching.